much for being here, everybody. Good afternoon. Today is a pretty exciting announcement for us here in Alberta. Alberta continues to lead the way with one of the most effective and efficient approaches to waste management and recycling in all of Canada. When it comes to bottle depots, we are some of the busiest in the country, with more than 2 billion beverage containers returned each and every year, and a return rate of over 85% in 2023. And it doesn't stop there. We've recycled over 11 million computers and TVs, 150 million tires, and over 2 billion liters of oil across the province. It is safe to say that Albertans are passionate about reducing waste and, of course, protecting and stewarding our environment. Now, we continue to improve and adapt. Even though we've had great success, there is always more work to do. Every day, our homes fill with more and more electronics as society innovates and technologies advance. When that happens, what we don't want to see is these electronics ending up in landfills, thrown away after the next upgrades hit the shelves. Being a province of problem solvers and innovators, 4 years ago, Alberta embarked on a pilot program to recycle more electronics, and it has been a huge success. It's seen recycling facilities like the one that we are visiting here today scale up their workforce and their technology to be able to recycle electronics of all shapes and sizes. And you probably saw that when you walked or when you drove in here today. Facilities just like this one are paving the way for a future with less waste and, of course, more recycling. Since the pilot began, Albertans have recycled nearly 15,000 tons of electronics. That's the weight equivalent of 4,000 cars kept out of landfills, which is why today we're expanding this program. Starting on April 1st, 2025, this e-pilot will become a permanent part of Alberta's province-wide recycling system, creating the biggest and best system in Canada, but of course also meeting the needs of both today and tomorrow. Families and businesses will be able to recycle over 500 extra electronic items, from cell phones to power tools to lawnmowers, and of course so much more. This expansion will keep 5,500 tons of waste out of landfills every single year. That is huge. It also ensures that hundreds of recycling facilities like Quantum can retain the skilled workforce and keep growing to serve communities across the province even better. And of course, we're not stopping there. Every day, we see solar panels, wind turbines, and electric vehicles being added to our province. The question is what happens when they reach end of life. Of course, we see the potential of addressing this issue right here in Alberta. Today, there are no dedicated recycling programs for solar panels anywhere in Canada. Yet some predict that up to 800,000 tons of panels could reach end of life in Canada in the next 25 years. The overall environmental impact of solar panels is, of course, much higher if they are disposed of in landfills. Not only does it have the potential to fill up the landfills, there is, of course, also the risk of chemicals and metals seeping into groundwater. Of course, we don't want to see that here. The same goes for wind turbines and EV batteries. We need a comprehensive recycling system in place for these materials before this becomes an issue. That's why we're setting up Canada's first provincial recycling programs for renewable materials, solar panels, EV batteries, and wind turbines. This is new, so of course it is not going to happen overnight. We are going to work with the Alberta Recycling Management Authority to start engaging with industry leaders this fall. This includes looking at what fees, policies, and additional programs are needed to move this forward. This includes looking at what level of fees will be needed to ensure that these products are going to be able to be managed in this system, and what types of regulations are needed to keep these materials out of the landfills. We'll be engaging with our partners, municipalities, and industry, of course, on that this fall. Electronics recycling is complex work, and that's also why the Alberta Recycling Management Authority has provided $250,000 to help Quantum Recycling install a cutting-edge AI-powered X-ray system. This technology scans materials in real time, instantly identifying hazardous waste within the e-waste system. It saves valuable time and resources while ensuring the safe and responsible recycling of all hazardous materials. I'm sure you're going to hear a little bit more about that this afternoon. These changes are a major step forward for our province and our country, and of course, this is a legacy that we will leave future generations. Thank you so much for being here today for this announcement, and now I'll pass things over to ARMA's CEO, Ed Guggenheimer, to talk a little bit more about the next chapter in Alberta's recycling leadership.
So thank you, Minister Schulz, for that introduction, and also for inviting me here today to talk about today's exciting announcement. As many of you know, the Alberta Recycling Management Authority, we call ourselves ARMA for short, has been at the forefront of recycling efforts in our province and managing programs in the used oil, paint, tires, and electronics program for over 30 years. And today is a long-awaited milestone for us. Part and parcel of our e-pilot program, we celebrate the formal expansion of Alberta's electronics recycling program coming into effect April 1 of 2025. The provincial government has shown tremendous support for the expansion. That was day one, approving a $43 million e-pilot back in May of 2020. We were all focused on collecting data that would inform the province, as well as our industry partners, how we could modernize and advance the future of electronics recycling in Alberta. The e-pilot program extension underscored the importance of our mission, which is to prevent electronic materials from entering the waste stream. The numbers speak for themselves. We recycled over 10,000 tons of electronic products that were not accepted previously the first 2 years of the e-pilot program, and an additional 11,000 tons during the pilot extension time, to make a total of over 21,000 tons over the course of the program. We went from accepting 12 different kinds of electronics, mainly audio-visual equipment, like TVs, computers, laptops, printers, fax machines, prior to the launch of the e-pilot. Now we're over 500 different types of electronics. Think about anything with a battery and a cord. From lawn and garden tools, power tools, games, toys, music, small kitchen appliances, to wireless devices. Perhaps what I'm most excited about, though, is that our e-pilot program extension validated what we were inherently foreseeing. Inherently foreseeing, the need to explore and include renewables as recyclables. Why? Well, simple, because our province has seen a remarkable surge in renewable energy installations of solar, wind, contributing to our energy grid. And with the market growth of EV vehicles, comes an opportunity to deal with EV batteries. Renewable products like solar panels, wind turbines, and EV batteries bring challenges to being able to manage that waste. With solar panels alone, the International Renewable Energy Agency estimated 800,000 tons of solar panel waste by 2050. And as such, we included this in our e-pilot program right out of the gate. We knew that this was an opportunity to look at a future waste stream. We needed to learn what we were dealing with. How does technology advancement and renewables impact the recycling process? What challenges and opportunities will the renewable materials generate? What do we know? What don't we know? These questions led to one thing, and we looked for data. The need of it and a lot of it. But more importantly, given the rapid pace of technology advancements with renewables, we wanted not only to match, but embrace the landscape of innovation, being proactive, collaborative, and innovative ourselves to be able to tackle this renewable material. Through our e-pilot program, ARMA collected approximately 2,800 solar panels, diverting them from landfills. And while the initial results are promising, we still have much to learn and much work to be done. The complexity of solar panels due to their construction, wafer-thin layers of silicon, glass, metal, presents unique challenges. Testing panels for readiness and reuse required special equipment at our corporate offices, and we were able to reuse 3 panels to light up our exterior sign. We even donated 7 used solar panels to Strathmore High School for their community greenhouse project. This project provided students with hands-on education in developing and building a functional off-grid solar power system for their greenhouse. But as I remarked earlier, challenge equals opportunity. It's through this lens that exudes what innovation really means and why we're here at Quantum today, signifying a close to the successful e-pilot program and officially expanding Alberta's electronics recycling program. Gary's going to talk about how Quantum also understands the importance of innovation and has taken advantage of ARMA's Innovation Program grant with the installation of sorting equipment that utilizes AI technology. Identifying and developing, testing innovative technologies that optimize and bring efficiencies to the recycling processes translates to building capacity in recycling more, turning more waste into raw materials that have a value in the manufacturing sector. It's not only the right thing to do for the environment, we're helping the province diversify its economy. We're creating new jobs for Albertans who call this province home, while bringing us one step closer to a future without waste. So as I close off, there are a few thank yous. I'd be remiss to not take this opportunity to say thanks, because it's truly a team effort. To my entire ARMA team, the curiosity, creativity, yet pragmatic growth mindset everyone brings to the table made it easier for me. To Gary, it's innovative and leading industry partners like Quantum that give this province the reputation that we have, a place to ideate, innovate, thrive, and prosper. And to Minister Schulz and the Government of Alberta, thank you for your tremendous support and commitment to a greener future, and in placing your trust with ARMA to be able to lead this work on behalf of the province. So with that, I'll hand it over to Gary for next comments.
Thank you very much, Ed. And thank you to Minister Schulz for attending our facility today and making this fantastic announcement. And, you know, I wanted to just tell you a little bit about Quantum Lifecycle Partners. We're an electronics reuse and recycling company. We're located across Canada. We have over 600 employees, and in Alberta, we employ over 100 sustainability superheroes across 4 facilities. And the reason we love doing business in Alberta is because of 4 reasons. Number one is because of the leadership that the Alberta government has shown over the last 20 years. You know, Alberta was the first province to introduce an electronics recycling program, and Quantum has been participating in that since the beginning. And today, the news of the expansion of this program to everything with a battery and plug is just music to our ears. And the fact that we're going to start to look at recycling renewable technologies is really, really awesome, and we're looking very forward to participating in that journey, and we thank the government for their leadership. The second reason we love doing business in Alberta is because of the stability of the electronics recycling program. And I really want to give thanks to Ed and to ARMA for their leadership in providing that stability. You know, again, we participate across the country, and electronics are changing every single day. And what we recycle today will be different in 10 years' time. And we need a partner like ARMA to help make sure that we've got a steady hand and the stability we need in order to invest the dollars that we want to invest in making things more efficient, in making things better from a health and safety perspective, and increasing environmental outcomes. The third reason we love doing business in Alberta is because there is a competitive market for growing our business in terms of growing our collection sites, working with the municipalities, working with not-for-profits. There are other jurisdictions in Canada which unfortunately do not have a competitive environment in collection, and we applaud Alberta for sticking true to its free market principles and allowing us to compete and grow our business and do better for the environment and do better for our customers. And last but not least, we love the fact that the Alberta government and ARMA are true partners in innovation. As I mentioned, electronics are not staying the same. And, you know, one of our core values is relentless curiosity. And thankfully, due to the matching grant from ARMA, we were able to invest in an X-ray sorting machine that has artificial intelligence that helps us identify items containing batteries and other hazards. This is probably the largest hazard that we're dealing with today in all of our facilities due to the electrification of everything, that today most items have an embedded battery. And it's really difficult to identify these items, and we also don't want to shred these items because they can cause fires, and it's really bad for our employees. So therefore, we took the step to invest in this technology. We're still figuring it out, and that's part of our innovation. And our goal is eventually to take the learnings that we've had in Alberta and transfer this to other jurisdictions and take the knowledge and the know-how and some of the employees and bring them to our other facilities and improve them from a health and safety perspective and an environmental perspective. So again, thank you so much to Minister Schulz and to Ed for your leadership, for providing the stability, for creating competition, and for being true partners in innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will now open the floor and the phone lines to questions. We will start with questions in the room. You can just line up right here.
Hi, Sean Amato with City News. A question for the minister. Who's going to pay for this? Can you talk a little bit more about the fees that Albertans will have to pay to see this done?
Yeah, so just like what folks would see when they go and buy a bottle of Coke at the grocery store, and there is a fee on that then goes to fund the recycling programs that we see. That's one of the things that I mentioned in my remarks that we are going to be engaging with industry on over the next couple of months to determine, okay, what does that fee need to be right now to do the research and look into essentially what types of policies we're going to need to make this succeed, what type of technology we're going to need moving forward, what type of regulations that we need, because obviously in some cases, we're still a ways away. This technology is new. It doesn't exist anywhere in Canada, and so we're somewhat at the beginning of the road here. So what those fees are going to look like, we're going to be talking to industry about what that looks like, and that might change over time as this work progresses.
So I think the information we had pegged it at somewhere between 40 cents and $1. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Is that where it's going to be, at least to start with?
For now, and maybe Ed can provide some more specifics on that, as he's been already having some of those conversations with industry about where we may need to start this work. But like I said, actually, once we actually get a little bit closer to have these facilities up and running, we may need to change that over time. Ed, is there anything else you'd want to add?
No, we actually haven't done the work. As Minister Schulz had suggested, we need to do a little more research. We understand roughly what it costs, to ship any sort of product, but to actually understand the eco-fees on recycling, that legwork still is required to be done. So right now, that's something that we'll probably work on over the next 4 to 5 months.
So should we tell Albertans 40 cents to $1? Like, where did that come from?
I'm not sure where the 40 cents $1 came from.
That was an estimate from the department on where we may be started right now, but of course that may change given industry feedback over the next couple of months.
My question is for ARMA. We know that a lot of items that are recycled aren't necessarily recycled 100%, and are often sent to other provinces. With these new items that you plan to recycle, how will you ensure that these items will be properly recycled and we're not just adding more to landfills?
So great question. ARMA has a program that ensures that the materials that we recycle don't go to landfills. And if you take a look at the landscape, for instance, Quantum might have multiple facilities across Canada. Certain facilities do different things. And so if you look at the larger picture, Quantum might send certain materials to Ontario where they have a different facility. So they look at recycling on more of a Canada-wide perspective as opposed to just an Alberta perspective. But we always like to try and resolve our problems here. We always are supportive of recycling. It happens inside the province. It's a bit of a philosophy of ours. But we do understand where the materials go after they go for recycling. So we only pay on materials that have been processed by the processor at this point in time. So we have some comfort knowing that that material is processed before it leaves their four walls.
And do you know what any of these items might be like turned into? Usually when people see recycling, they think of, water bottles, tote bags. What could their phone turn into?
Yeah, there'll probably be more of a question for Quantum.
So when we look at a mass balance of what we recycle, 40% of what comes out of electronics is ferrous metals, and that ultimately just gets melted down into new steel. Could be an I-beam. The next biggest item is plastics, and electronic plastic, unfortunately, is super complicated. Ultimately, it gets broken down into ABS plastic, PS plastic, and that ultimately makes its way into new products like HVAC units or air conditioners or coffee makers. In a cell phone, you mentioned, a small percentage, although high value, would be circuit boards, and that gets melted down. Majority of the value is copper, and there's some gold in there. And there's a smelter actually in Quebec, which would smelt that material and ultimately reclaim those commodities. But really, yes, while we recycle across Canada, the commodity market is an international market. So we're really looking for the best place in the world, both from an environmental outcome perspective, a health and safety outcome perspective, and really economic perspective.
And just my final question, with this being new and you saying that this is the first in the country, what are some of the biggest challenges that you are anticipating?
So the pilot's been running for 2 years, and we're still continuing to take those materials. And so from a risk perspective on the 500 different items that we've already started to incorporate, this entire pilot was to see where the problems lied, where the hiccups might be, where the successes were, and see whether our recyclers could actually recycle that material. Was there end markets? Did we know what the costing would look like to process that material? Was there capacity? And I would suggest were municipalities and collection sites able to collect this material? And so I would suggest that, it kind of has been the shakedown period for the pilot. That's why we believe, renewables aside, that the e-pilot program has already been tested and tried.
Thank you. Any more questions in the room before we go to the phones?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Question for Gary. You said anything with a plug and a battery, essentially. Is there anything common consumer stuff that we can't recycle yet, like we're just not there with, or pretty much everything can be recycled in some form?
Yeah, I would say when it comes to anything with a battery and plug, we can recycle it all. The hard part is, as you see behind you, our sustainability superheroes going through it, making sure we don't have any hazards in there, whether that's a battery or mercury, and we're removing that, and this machine's helping us identify that. And then we're really just, ultimately taking it apart or shredding it into base commodities. But when it comes to electronics, whether anything with a battery and plug, there's ways and means to recycle it all.
How much waste still comes out of a facility like this? Like, are you at 50% recycle and then 50 goes to waste, or what are you at for that?
So really, we're from a landfill diversion perspective, we're 95% plus, right? Then you get into the technicalities of what truly is recycling. Like when you're smelting something off, like is everything being recycling, and is waste to energy recycling? But we're 95% plus landfill diversion.
Thank you. We're now going to go to questions on the line. Operator, could you put through our first caller? Can we raise the volume?
Sorry, one of the questions was, where did we get the rates? I think it was 40 cents to $1 on items. I thought that question was in reference to the solar panels and renewables, where we don't have any of those numbers. Those are rough drafts of the 500 products that were brought in by consumers. Those are estimates at this point in time. So those did come from ARMA's office. We will be refining those as time has passed since we developed those numbers. So it doesn't include anything renewable. It was just on products that Albertans use every day.
That's a good ballpark at this point for a cell phone or a microwave or something?
Yeah, it's a rough ballpark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, and apologies, we are having technical difficulties, so this concludes today's announcement. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Oh, we hear him now.
It was going to be a hard one.
You had a juicy question there.